Good afternoon and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cash Coaching Hour, where we walk and talk through what happened already?
I'm going to turn your volume down 3 times, then turn your mic up like it was the mic's
Well,
problem.
the mic.
No, it's definitely the volume problem.
We don't
What's
have
up, everybody?
ladies and gentlemen, I got a mix problem is the thing. I got a mix problem. More snare in my headphones. All right. Yeah, Sean King, what song did I just reference?
Come on, man. That's Eminem's greatest album, 8 Mile.
There you go.
What about this song? Today's episode is all about money. What about this guy right here?
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
All right, Jesse Dub Durham out there. What are we referencing on that song?
No idea.
No, what's your favorite song about money or abundance or cash, or what comes to mind? Give me something. All right, while he's thinking, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another great Cash Coaching Hour. We are just a few minutes past noon where we normally are here at the Cash Compound studio headquarters in Greenville, South Carolina. We're the northwest corner of the Southeast state, and all over the U.S. and Canada, we help walk and talk you through a culture of control of your cash. Throw in the chat if you are here, ready and willing. Let us know where you are. We'll help you wherever you are. We'll answer your questions, comments, and concerns as long as you drop them on our Facebook page or group. Yep, Cash Compound or Infinite Bankers, our YouTube channel, The Banking Bros, or our IG, The Banking Bros as well. What's up, Nelson? He's always here. You know Nelson needs no introduction.
Nelson actually just hit me up on, he texted. That was you, right, Nelson? He said, this is Nelson. I got a new number.
Just letting us know.
But I didn't.
Okay.
I was like, I think I know which Nelson it is. What's up, Nelson? Good to see you. I got a song for Jesse. Are you still thinking about your song there, Jesse?
I have not come up with a song, but I think it's because I was raised around country music, and didn't anybody have any in those country songs?
Really? Okay.
All right.
What about
this guy?
Oh, okay.
Here we go. What about that guy? Anybody recognize that?
I know that guy.
Okay.
All right. That's the GAB. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Coach Robert. We don't see him nearly as often as we used to. He was a big staple on our live experience on TikTok. Just in case you want to follow us on TikTok, we've got 2 channels there, the Cash Compound and the Banking Bros. And he has taken a lot of phone calls over the years, but he's coming into the office a lot more. So I look forward to him, maybe being around soon again. Yep. So shout out to Jake Doster from Greer. What's up, Jake? That's actually our addresses. We live in different places inside the city of Greer, but Jake is from the upstate. We kind of call this region of South Carolina the upstate, several counties. So shout out to you, sir. Shane, what's good? Be here for a moment today before an appointment. Shane, where are you going? I appreciate you letting us into your life before the appointment. Hope it goes well.
Hope the appointment goes well.
Hope that lump goes
Shane
away.
is also asking if we're going to be at the event in Denver.
Yes.
I think he's talking about the Money Multiplier event.
Let us know, Shane, if that is where you're thinking. Yes. So we're going to be on stage. Jonah and I are, he doesn't know yet, but I'm working on a new keynote that I want to do with him. We got some time. So we got to work on that. Last time we had a game show. Jonah played my Vanna Black, and he did the scorekeeping.
That's too.
And
that was good. I'll give you a laugh for that.
All right, where's the laugh?
Hold on, I got a laugh coming. I got to figure out where my laughs are. There we go, right here.
Okay, very good. That was the best laugh we got too.
Yeah,
when we were in the room. That was in Nashville last year. So yes, we are going to be there. If you're talking about that one, it is October 6, 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. 8, 9, 10?
I'm not exactly sure, but we'll be there. It's the Money Multiplier event. It'll be on our website very shortly, and you can go there and you can book. That's thebankingbros.com/events. It's also, of course, on their website, themoneymultiplier.com, and you can get your tickets for that. So we'll have that up. We will be there in person. It'll be nice and fun, and we'll go from there. We got to give a big shout out to, is that Aries over there on Instagram? What's up, Aries? We see you. coming in live. So here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to open up my computer here, and I'm going to find some comments and questions and concerns, and we'll go through some of those things. We haven't done that here recently. Talk about some of the people that are commenting.
Okay, yeah, we'll go to the mailbag.
And we'll do that
today.
for a little bit.
We're sick of your questions, everyone. No, if you're here for the first time, what we do on this walk and talk through is we go back and forth, chit chat about utilizing your cash in a controlled environment in a guaranteed structure for family banking. What we mean by that is we're going to practice utilizing a baseline foundational product that allows you to have the control of cash flow. Most people don't recognize the problem, so if we go straight into the solution, it may not make sense to you. What happens in a traditional family's life in North America is the bank, the actual bank on the corner where you direct deposit your money, where you have credit cards with, where you have a mortgage with, where you have a car loan with, they control the banking function verb in your life, and you lose out on crazy amounts of control and interest. But since it's so ubiquitous and so normal, people don't recognize it when it hits them in the face with the solution. So we want to help you understand that the amount of interest your family pays on those cards, and mortgage loans and car loans, multiply that by everybody in your family. I have 6. I'm the oldest of 6. Mom is in town right now. We got an extra sister in town. Everybody's car loans, everybody's mortgages, everybody's credit cards. What if all of that interest that got paid to Wells Fargo, Bank of America, City Chase, what if all that interest actually stayed with your family because you controlled the bank? The loans came from some place the family actually owned. Just think about the interest. That's what we're going to do, and we're going to help you understand infinite banking, ladies and gentlemen, infinite banking. So let's get a shout from these guys again. We already went straight to them with a couple of top 40 hits, but I want to know the credentials for being on a call like this. So let's go back to Jesse, and tell us about yourself, Jesse, and why you qualify to be in a conversation like this and what your family is doing.
Sure. So my name's Jesse. I'm from North Carolina, husband, father, and personally, I've been using that family banking system that Jadu was just talking about for going on 10 years now. So we saw this concept of infinite banking 10 years ago, and we had debt. So we had that family car, we had those credit cards, we had those student loans. So when we saw this concept with its control, with its guarantees, like he was describing, that was priority number one for us. So we took that $50,000 in debt that we owed, and now we've turned that into a very significant net worth cash flowing system that we own and control now, that we've used for lots of aspects in our lifestyle beyond paying off those old debts at the same time.
Love it. Now, Jesse, before we forget, we normally go to it to the end, but not everybody's going to stick with us because they might have an appointment. Jesse, where can we find your body of work and information online?
Sure. DurhamTalents.com. You should be able to just Google me or search for me and find me on all the platforms, YouTube channels, The Priority, but DurhamTalents.com is the website.
Love it. Appreciate you being here. Sean King, everybody. Legacy Life is down in the Pensacola, Florida area from time to time, but he might be in any country at any time. So, Sean, why do you qualify to be here? How long have you been practicing this situation with your family? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, for sure, guys. So I've been in the insurance space for about 4.5 years. I've been taking part in infinite banking now within my own personal life for about 2 years now. My entire family is involved with this. Myself, my wife, we both have 2 policies each. My 17-month-old son has 2 policies. My dad has a policy. My sister has a policy. So this is something that we really like to do as a family. We sit down every month. We review the things that we're doing in our lives financially, things that we want to be doing. So having these conversations on a regular basis with family, I find is extremely valuable and important. But I've used my policy for all sorts of things. I got into this business because I got into infinite banking because I realized, man, I have this massive debt, student loans, some credit card debt that I wanted to get rid of. and I had cash I had been saving, but I didn't want to give my money away to the third-party institutions and just let it be done like that. So I realized, hey, I could flow it through this system, take full advantage of continuing to capitalize on my money while going and paying off these third-party debtors. And then it's turned into other things like building out emergency funds, taking vacations all around the world, and now taking that capital that I have and sending it out to other places to earn in 2 places at once, inside my policies and outside investing. So got a lot of knowledge about how to do those things, been doing those things on different levels for a couple years now, and love having these conversations with people and kind of helping them figure out how exactly it fits in their life, because I've touched on quite a bit of it.
My man, I love to hear that. And it's 2 years in the making. Jonah, he's making us look bad because he's got 3 layers of family right now. He's got Pops, himself, and the baby. He and his wife in the middle.
We have 3. Also.
Not in 2 years.
No, 2 not in 2 years. Not in 2 years. He got his beat on the 2 years.
Yeah, so the winds are changing, as Dick Van Dyke would say in Mary Poppins. Storms is a brewing. I don't know.
I don't have that one on the soundboard.
Okay.
I do have this.
Yeah,
which is what you deserve.
Yeah.
Mary Poppins quote.
You know, Dick Van Dyke got voted in one of those Razzie type award deals as the worst British accent ever. They were like, this is terrible, Dick. You know, he's got to live with that for 500 years. He's 500 years old now. He's still with us.
Yeah, he is. He's
okay. Shout out to everybody on Instagram. If you're out there, we'd love comments, questions, and concerns on our Instagram feed as well. I saw some newer members joining out there. I don't know if you follow us. I think Instagram has a tendency to show it to people who do follow us.
Yep.
So shout out, because I don't recognize several of you out there. And if you're on Instagram, you can send us DMs on Instagram where we can send you links back. That is a nice one to send links back. I can talk to you. I tend to monitor that one out of the 2 of us more than Jonah will monitor the DMs on a response basis. And in Instagram, I can give you verbal confirmation. I can also give you links. So
there you go.
Shout out.
What up, Leo? We see you out there. Thanks for joining us. Have any questions?
Hey, Leo's in Greenville. He's in Greenville.
Oh, have I met Leo?
I don't think you've met Leo. So Leo is part of Real Estate Investors Association.
Okay.
And Leo got a couple of policies with us for his family. I believe his and hers. Leo, correct me when I'm wrong, man, but you have been a part of the real estate community in the upstate. You did get 2 infinite banking style policies your family could use. And if you have questions, throw them out there. We're here for you. And Leo, we were just talking within our community of coaches about doing something special this summer before the summer is over. So maybe we're going to see you in person soon, Leo. So stay tuned for that, man.
Yeah, believe it or not, I've had a couple conversations with people that are actually in the upstate recently, and they want to come by the office. That's what they want to do. They're like, oh, I want to come by. I saw you guys were on Pelham. Let me do it.
Let's go.
Like,
Pelham 1, 2, 3. We're going to crash this train if you don't. No, y'all remember that one? Anybody? Denzel movie, right?
The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. We know, but
we're not going to crash the train.
I got to go back and give you more sounds for that. Really? Yeah. How about that?
It was a stretch. It was a stretch. Okay. So shout out to our TikTok family out there, because there's a Eugene who was live with Sean and I on TikTok on Monday evening, depending on where you are in the world, Monday evening, East Coast. And he was in Greenville too. And I said, okay, DM me. Let's get together and break some bread. So if you are in the upstate, stay tuned. We're going to put something together. I think Coach Sean is going to be here. Jesse is always around. Maybe we've got some of our trainee coaches are going to join us as well. We're going to have to get together.
Put on a little,
do something.
A little event. We should have some
little
fun,
event,
right?
Yeah.
To do a thing. Okay. Here's what I want to do. I asked a question on the internets, and I want to go through and give you kind of what happened. So it's a little bit of a would you rather, what would you do? But that's kind of what I want to start with here. That's a pretty good intro. But I was thinking, what about this? That's
All
fine.
right.
Anyway,
Top
okay,
5 answers on the board.
Okay, so
100 people surveyed.
here's the question I asked. I put it on our Facebook group. I also put it on YouTube, and I said, "What if you just won a lottery? You just won a $20,000 lottery. What are you doing with the money?"
$20,000. Put it in the chat,
and I
everybody.
gave 2 answers, but
Okay.
I'm not going to give them out as we
Oh,
talk about
okay.
it here because I want to hear everyone's insights.
Leo,
So
you and the missus out there.
what
what are
would
you
you
doing?
do? What would be
Liz.
the first thing you're doing if you won $20,000? Then I'll go through what some of our people in our group said and what people on YouTube said. We got a lot of people who saw it and decided to interact.
Okay.
So
Well, I'm
this will
going to
be
tell you
fun.
one thing that I'll do while everybody's thinking of it and give us some answers. We'd love to consider what you say. I'm renovating the basement right
That's
now.
the first thing you're doing.
I'm just saying it's on
Okay.
my mind right now. The
Okay.
guy is breaking up concrete in my house right now.
Okay.
Started 2 days ago, putting in a shower because I'm going to put a renter in the ground floor. Reminder, ground floor, first floor, right? We were born in Europe.
Yep.
Don't get it confused. All right. Ground floor.
That
It's not
got
really
me, it
basement.
got me one time.
Ground floor
I was
is
in
where
the
I'm
dark. I was going upstairs. It was terrible.
Yeah.
But anyway. Okay.
Okay, so one of the things is I need to pay him.
Okay.
So the guy, he's a neighbor as well. So he's a neighbor, great dude, handyman. He's putting in a new shower currently. Gonna do a kitchenette style thing. We got cabinets going up, got some shelves.
Man, we did a whole podcast on that back in Selma, keeping the money in the neighborhood. Did we not?
No, not Selma.
No. Yes, it was.
That's not Selma.
It was.
Nope. Green, that's Oklahoma.
Yes.
That's Oklahoma.
City.
I thought it was Selma,
No,
Oklahoma. but
Selma's in
now I'm
Alabama.
realizing
Selma's
it's
in
not
Alabama.
correct.
You're getting your Black history messed up.
I am.
Okay,
Don't
so
worry
hold
about
on.
me.
It's Tulsa,
Tulsa.
Greenwood. Greenwood
Selma,
and Tulsa.
It was kind of close. Anyway, you should go out and check out our
Hit the
podcast
button.
episode.
Correct.
You should
Okay.
go back and check out our podcast episode all about Tulsa.
All right, before you tell us, we did get an answer from Rob.
Okay.
Rob says he's going to put it in my PUA.
Mm.
Sounds like innuendo. I'm going to put it in my PUA, girl, and pay off a policy loan. Okay, so help us understand, Jonah, where you want to go with this.
I could. Shaw, jump in. Help us out. What would you do if you won $20,000?
He's crying
Yeah.
as well.
I would do something very similar to Rob. I would actually do the same thing as Rob, simply because we know of a tool where I can put that money, continue to earn on it for the rest of my life, but then take it out and go do other things with it. I've got other investments that I'm currently involved in that I would like to disperse that money to get a higher return. So first, it's got to touch my policy. Second, I'm sending that bad boy out in some investments.
Okay,
that's a
love
good
it. Now,
answer.
Janet over there, one of our clients and team members on Instagram, says she remembers the podcast about Oklahoma and was so interesting. Yeah, go back and find that one. Very good. Oh, Selma is in Alabama. Don't
I
me.
messed it up. It's
Yeah.
fine. Very good. Okay, so I'm with Sean. I'm with Rob. The first thing I'm going to do, I'm not going to pay PUA or pay off a loan. I'm going to pay premium because I had a premium due yesterday.
Okay.
So I got to pay if I won $20,000 today, I'm paying premium because my premium was due. Don't worry, I'll get it paid, everybody. Don't worry about me. But then it's the same thing. I'd go in and do some investing. I recently was able to speak at a group in Hawaii, and this group talks about investments, short-term amortized investments that pay back principal and interest. It was really intriguing, the method that they use behind structuring those investments and which ones they go for and what companies they use and how to vet them. And so actually that's what I do. I'd probably pay premium. Once I pay premium, I'd take a loan from my policy and I'd actually use it in order to make more money, right? Do short-term investments. That's what I'm interested in the moment. But to relate to you, actually, I took out some drywall in my house yesterday. Feel like I made a mistake, honestly. And the demo was okay. And then the rest of it, I was like, oh boy, here I go. I honestly don't know what I'm doing, but I'm in the middle of it. So.
All right, Jesse, tell us about demoing a home right now, what Jonah needs to know and how you're funding this project.
Man, everything in life, not just money, everything in life, homes, it's easier to take down than it is to build up. So yeah, the building up is the most important step, right? So we all experience cash flow for sure. It doesn't matter if it's that $20,000 unexpected windfall or it's our regular cash flows. You know, everybody on screen has been talking about, well, the first place that money should go is in a private banking system. And we do the exact same thing conventionally with these commercial banks, right? Like everything we earn is typically going through a commercial bank. All of it, the windfalls, the regular cash flow, all of it. So we want to direct as much cash flow as possible to this private banking system where, again, Sean's talking earlier about these guarantees, the control, etc. So yeah, it doesn't matter if it's for a remodel, which we have done for our home, we have used.
Yeah, and you're
our
looking
private
at the
system.
demo, right? Tell us what's up. You're looking
Yeah,
at doing
yeah,
a
that's-
demo. You're gonna let Jonah come by and whack down some drywall,
I
or
can
what?
demo. I can't help you after the fact.
I don't know if he's got the grip strength for it from prior conversations. So
I'm working on it.
All right. Well, appreciate that. So Jonah, keep going.
Well, that's it. I
Well,
just
what were
pay
the two
premiums.
choices that you
Oh
mentioned
yeah, I'm sorry.
from the
So,
Facebook
the two
group?
choices that I mentioned. So when I put this question in our group or on YouTube, I gave him two choices, and I said, "Hey, if you just won a $20,000 lottery, what are you doing with the money?" And I gave him two choices. I said, "Are you going to save it for the future wealth, or are you going to treat yourself? Treat yourself." I should have put that in the sound. Treat yourself to a once in a lifetime experience. On Facebook, in our group's called Infinite Bankers. If you have not joined, or if you want to join, our group's called Infinite Bankers. But in our group, we were 100% save it for future wealth. 100% save it for future wealth. Now on YouTube,
You asked it there?
I asked it there on YouTube. We were not 100% on save it for future wealth. It was 94% save
Okay.
it for future wealth. 6% said, I'm going to treat myself.
Okay, so here's
Right.
the thing. Here's the thing. We're probably preaching too much to the choir. So I want to make sure. Nelson says he's going to determine how much to dump. That is a semi-technical term around here. Dump into a whole life policy. That means pay premiums.
Okay.
Pay premiums, if you don't know. And then he wants to use it on outstanding debt. We've talked about that. We've had some conversations that Nelson does have some consumer debt that's going out to the third parties. You're discovering that you got to chase. I don't know. I'm trying to come up with something out there. Who
Yeah,
else?
Visa, something. I
Visa,
don't know.
discovering that you're chasing Visa and you're paying them stuff. So Nelson, appreciate that. And then Leo, I think it's Leo, not even Leo. Yes or no? Leo.
Jesse says,
Is it
yeah.
Leo? Yeah.
Leo,
Okay. Yeah, I thought so. So Leo says, make it grow. Now, one of the things, of course, we want to make it grow. One of the things that we want to do and why we utilize life insurance for our private banking system, whole life insurance, it's a style of permanent, but it's not universal. Hear me out. Capital W, put some respect on it. Okay. Capital W, whole life insurance is because before we want to make it grow, we want to make sure we don't lose it.
Mhm.
We can keep it. Jesse mentioned this. Put it in a private banking system where there's guarantees, control, and growth on it. So that's what we want to do before. It is Leo. Okay, cool. Appreciate you, man. Thank you for the help out there.
Okay, so we got to talk about this. I'm going to try to say the name appropriately. So this looks like Brianne Gibson. Brianne Gibson responded to this question, and they said where they're going to put the money if they win 20,000 is inside of stock market dividends insurance policies.
Well, no,
Stock
who knows?
market.
Who knows if that's all the same thing? So dividend stocks might be what she means there.
Oh,
Insurance
I see.
policy might be
I
something
see.
else.
We're losing our commas. No
Yeah,
commas.
who knows,
We got no
right?
pronunciation. Okay.
Let's eat, Grandma, or let's eat, Grandma.
Yeah.
We need some commas.
You need a comma.
Right? Sean knows what I'm talking about. Sean, hold on. Now, Sean and I were able to have a lot of, when we understand how money grows and flows, Sean, there are a lot of smiles we can have because we sleep better at night. And you and I, last Monday, about 10 days ago, were able to see a comedy show around money. And you and I were laughing, having a good time. Tell us about that. When you have guarantees, then you can go on a roller coaster ride with potential dividend stocks. You can go on a roller coaster ride with investments. You can let Jonah and Jesse demo your house and see if it works, because we've got a safety net first. But tell us about the guarantees and the comfort there, and then all the fun. And mention the comedy show.
Yeah, so just to touch really quickly on the comedy show, if you guys have read the book, What Would the Rockefellers Do by Garrett Gunderson, Garrett fancies himself a money comic, which is something I never heard of before. But he got up at our event. He did some comedy. I like jokes. I was laughing. I had a good time. Got a little inappropriate, which is right up my alley of jokes. So
Right up that PUA.
Yep.
I thought it was all about that bass.
All about
Yeah.
that bass. There we go. Jesse's in. He's in. He got a song in. All right, good.
But as far as guarantees go, a lot of people come into this and they're thinking like, well, the rate of return is this, that, or the other thing. That's what most people on the outside world looking in are focused on, because that's what everybody has focused on teaching us. Is like, how much money is your money making? Though it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. That's why we do what we do, because putting our money in this place first allows us that peace of mind to know that no matter what happens, no matter what we go do with our money outside of the policy after loaning it from the policy, we're actually continuing to earn on our money inside the policy for the rest of our life. As long as we don't withdraw the money, we have the guarantee that that number will get bigger and bigger and bigger every single year. And again, that provides you with a peace of mind. That allows you to lay your head on your pillow at night knowing, like, at least in this aspect of my life, I have guarantees, I have security. And for me, that's something that is probably the most important thing. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to take my money and go try and make more money with it. But the difference between you investing and losing everything and me investing and losing that money is my money is still working for me. I just lost someone else's money, which I have the ability to pay back on my own time if I choose to, because I was leveraging it against a larger pool of capital. But you, who just lost your money, well, that money's gone forever. That money will never make you another dollar again. So again, peace of mind is worth, I think, a lot more than we give it credit for.
It really is. It really is. So we appreciate that. We do have the book here that we would highly suggest you go get. It's a very good read. This is a new edition. I haven't read the new edition. I've got my older edition here. But if you go to some of our pages that Jonah mentioned, Facebook and things like that, you're going to find a picture of me and a picture of Sean hanging out with Garrett in Nashville last week. Rob says, I thought this was a family-friendly show. Well, hey, it started out with Nelson out there trying to put, no, it was Rob. No, Rob, it was you. Put it in my PUA. Bro, we went straight to that. We went to straight. That's third base, bro. Third base. Put it in a PUA. So we fancy ourselves around here as folks who can break down the complex to a lot more simple. I think Sean just did a great job at that, making sure people understand, hey, we do want to go chase returns. The thrill of that investment is wonderful, but we need to keep the money for. What if you have great returns and it's 60% taxed?
Yep.
So the chase is important. Investment returns are important, but what about keeping the money that comes into our lives? That's where we want to help people understand the save and spend system. That's what we call it. We hope that you join us in a conversation by starting with that video, saveandspendsystem.com. The money that comes into your life, that's called income. Jonah has a great presentation. You did it recently where the income that comes in can turn into insurance, which automatically doubles, triples, quadruples the value.
That's right.
You can't lose it. Insurance is the word guarantee. Insurance is the word guarantee. Insurance, income, there's interest on that money. There's even interest in borrowing. There's two interests that are happening there. And then we have investment money. So me, Jonah, and Leo can get into some real estate in the upstate.
Jewel says we got bros playing rich bros. I don't actually know what that comment means. If you want to elaborate, go for it. But I've never heard. Is it a game? I play Monopoly. I play Cash Flow Quadrant. What about that? Hey, when everyone comes to town, we're going to do an event, right? In Greenville. Should we play Cash Flow Quadrant?
I think we should, because I've only played one time.
I didn't even finish.
Yeah, and I need to play again.
I was losing also.
I
Have you
want
guys heard
to.
of this game? Okay.
I thought you were beating me.
I think I was beating you, but that's easy to do. Okay, so have you heard of this game? It's Robert Kiyosaki's Cash Flow Quadrant, the game. We have a copy of it in office here, and during this game, you kind of have to. You get assigned.
I don't think it's called Cash Flow Quadrant. I think it's called Cash Flow.
Cash Flow, the board game. It's a board game.
Mhm.
You get assigned like a role. I think maybe you draw them or something like that to kind of start the game, and you literally are given like a balance sheet. Like that's your game board.
Income statement and balance sheet, I think.
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
Both
And then
of
you're going around the board, and all these different scenarios keep presenting themselves to you. But some of the scenarios, if I'm remembering correctly, like you cannot accomplish because of your balance sheet or your income statement. Like you don't have the income to do that thing. And then when you start to kind of do well for yourself, they start throwing a bunch of bad stuff at you. You know, that your building burned down, or
Taxes.
taxes, stuff
Right.
like this. And it is tough. It is tough.
The
to
problem
get
is
ahead
his
of
life
this
was
game.
already tough. Now I
Yeah.
got to play this game, and it's tough too.
Yeah, it's
Like,
just tough.
If you're not prepared for it, you might think, wow, if this is the game for financial freedom, in reality, oh no. Like,
Yep.
oh no. So you've got to be conscious of it. Financial education and awareness is the foundational principle, or you just work hard till you die. Put your hand up out there, ladies and gentlemen. If you thought working hard was going to do it for you, go to school, get good grades, get a good job. Did anybody learn that? Jesse, talk about that. You, in my opinion, are a very hard worker, very intentional guy. Did that come from a premise that it was supposed to make you free or wealthy or get you somewhere financially? I know that the morals and the ethics code that you have are solid, but did you think that that was going to get you, or maybe you weren't even thinking about money? Like, oh, it'll be fine. I don't know. Government will take care of me. Church will do it. I don't know. What were you thinking?
No, I was ready to earn as soon as possible. I had my first job at 15 and came from a blue collar home where mom was homemaker, dad was blue collar working in a factory. And then, I had other people in my life that did have businesses, and all of my first jobs were manual labor. So there was no question. I mean, you had to work hard. You couldn't be the slacker on the crew. But it was put in me to work hard as well. And then after that, once I actually got on that 4-year degree route, that was supposed to lead to this escalating career over, 30, 40, whatever years. So that was my trajectory, working hard, blue collar, but then got the 4-year degree, got into that first career, was in it for a few years, took another career, was in that for a few years. And I've actually just had a lot of stepping stones to get to where I'm at right now. Yeah.
I love that. So I want to know what type of factory work was going on in your neighborhood and area. Were there a lot of people involved in that type of work? I know you live in a more rural town than I do.
Sure. Yeah. Lots of people could relate. The one in our town, steel factory.
Uh-huh. Very interesting. Okay. How about the rest of you out there? Put it in the chat. Were you a hard worker at 15, a manual laborer? Sean, what type of work did you get into? I know you ended up playing college ball. So were you in the gym, or were you at the sweeping the floors of the steel mill?
Yeah. So I didn't really have many jobs outside of basketball related things going up through high school and through college. My very first job was at Quiznos Subs, which
I remember Quiznos.
Yeah, not for me, dog. That was a no for me. Although I did take a lot of food home from there, which was a great time. But up through college, I really just, had jobs that involved basketball related stuff, working through that. After that, I got into, I don't even know if you would call that blue collar. I just got into normal jobs. I worked, bartending, serving gigs. I worked for Amazon, FedEx.
I think that's called, I think those is called service. Literally, it's called service, right? Service.
And I got into construction, which is blue collar. But
back to blue.
Yeah, never really worked in any factories, nothing like that. But always, hard work that I was working for somebody else and not myself.
All right. Nelson says that he was glad to finally have his own money, even though he didn't really want to work. That sounds like me. Nelson is my guy. I never wanted to work. My jobs always came at the beginning because I wanted the money. So I wanted the money, but I didn't want to work. So maybe that's where entrepreneurism comes in, right? And trying to be crafty. And then 50% of the time it was because mom literally kicked me out of the house and said, you will not be watching Power Rangers and NBA inside stuff all summer. She would kick me out of the house. So it's literally, Sean, did you watch that back in the day?
I sure did. Yep.
100%.
Stuff.
I've seen
Ahmad
so much.
Rashad,
Inside stuff, inside the NBA, which still comes on.
maybe.
ESPN. It wasn't like 24-hour Sports Center back then, but yep, there we have it. Okay, so Sean, you mentioned a book. I mentioned one book, but I want to talk about a conversation that I had. Are we good for that?
Yeah.
Let's get into this. Jonah, give us a transition here as we get into a little chit chat. Okay, here it is. Sometimes folks have got to understand that the problem with the African American community and money is that people won't take responsibility. So they think it's on their kids, and they actually want their kids to take care of them because they didn't do it. Blah, blah. Have you guys seen that trend where people turn around backward and they start yelling things and they turn back and they say, who said that? Who said that? All right. If you look at social media as often as I do, you've seen this new trend. It's very interesting, and it is going to get into the generational aspect of this chit chat conversation. I saw one this morning, and it was this lady, black lady, who was talking about Black and Africans, African American community are actually, in her opinion, they are not doing what they need to do as mature adult individuals. And they are hoping that the next generation, maybe the generation like we are, we're all dads, we have families, we're now in our career stage. Things are very expensive because it's going up in inflation. At the same time, we have little kids. All of us have kids who are at home at some level. We got homeschoolers, we got babies, we got some private school in here. So it's expensive, right? You don't have to pay for those same things when your kids are out of daycare or they're out of the house. So it's a very expensive time. And many people, she argued, are pushing the burden to the generation now who are in the information age like us, and they're not doing what they need to do in their 50s, 60s, 70s, in their golden years. So I'm going to bring up some controversial topics out there because many of the folks who are listening and watching are gracious enough to be on our Instagram, our Facebook, our YouTube today are older than us. So, Jonah, I want you to give your opinion on that idea right now. Do you believe that the generation who are our parents, 50s and up, are actually not doing what they need to do across the board? I mean, we're generalizing, of course, but they're not doing what they need to do in these conversations, habit-making, education to set themselves and their families up for retirement, for long-term care and medical needs, and for they're hoping that their kids are going to take care of them maybe.
Yeah, I think that it's more of a generational thing. So I brought this up previously. I think it was on one of these hours a few Thursdays ago. But here's what I mean by that. Our parents were born during the information age. Yes? No. They're industrial age. I don't know when it is. Okay, but here's the point. Here's the point of what I'm trying to say. What we have currently, like in our generation, so I'm even going to mess up the generations. I don't really care. But
we'll
here's
help
what I'm
them.
trying
We'll
to
help
say.
them. Hold on.
Between about 20 and 40 right now, 45, 50, if you want to push it.
Ages.
Ages. Those
Okay.
people grew up in a completely different generation than the 45 and on people. So here's what I
Yes.
mean. The
Okay.
45 and on people grew up in a generation where you can go get a pension. You can go get a good job and go get a pension. You can use your pension to do your retirement.
You
can
just
do all
said
this
45.
stuff.
You realize I'm 41.
Yeah.
It's older than that.
Yeah. But here's what I'm saying. The people now, we grew up, we have the information age. So we are starting to
Okay.
see the people in front of us. Is it working or is it not working? Our parents looked at the people in front of them. Is it working or not working?
Correct.
And the answer was it's working.
Right. They had the pension.
Right.
Our grandparents- in
when
our
we
family,
are
grandparents
looking
had
at
the
our
pension.
future generation,
Yes.
are we saying is it working or is it not working? The answer is it's not working.
Correct.
So then we, the generation that we are in now, have to make changes. And we're going, it's not working. Hey, people, it's not working. And they're going, no, well, I mean, our examples, it worked. the people even underneath us, and this is what I brought up a few weeks ago. We have a young sister. She's 21 or 22. She's actually in town currently. I asked her about like something like buying a house.
Right.
She has ruled that out of her life. Ruled it out. I didn't rule it out. Our parents didn't rule it out. Our grandparents didn't rule it out. She's ruled
Our grandparents bought their house for $12,000.
That's what I'm saying.
They still live in it.
Our little sister, who's 21, has ruled it out of her life. Have you seen the prices on these? When would I be doing that, and why would I do it? These are $500,000. I'll always just have some friends and live we'll share it or whatever. Like, that's what I'll always do. Why would I? That doesn't make any sense. It's too expensive. She's still in school. She's in college. She wants to go to law school. Like,
which is another $500,000.
Correct. She buy a house. She's like, why would I? That doesn't
Right.
take up brain space in my head, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And I think that's the difference. It's like the generation that you grew up in. You get to look at the generation that came before and say, is what they were doing working or not working?
Yeah.
There's the things that they stand by and the prices that they had, what I get also, or is it different? So should I listen to them when they say that thing, or should I just ignore them because it doesn't actually relate to me anymore?
It's very interesting. What do you guys think in the chat out there? My opinion is that there are many folks who are interested. We're preaching to the choir here. You guys are on our live, but there are many folks who are maybe in your generation. How many of you are 50 plus? Let us know. Put some thought in the chat. Maybe tell us your age. 50 plus. So you're at the age where traditional retirement is on your mind. You're not there yet, or maybe you can't, but it's on your mind. And you're like, something has to change. This is not working. I do not have a pension. If I do have a pension, military has a pension. First responders have a pension. Maybe you played pro ball. You could have you can have a pension in several different things. But if you have a pension, you're like, this pension is only going to take care of 20-30% of my needs. So something else has to be done. And I think that this person was trying to make the case that the generation of workers today, which are us with families, young families maybe, are actually double burdened because their parents are actually hoping, praying, or maybe giving you the responsibility to figure it out for them even. Sean, what do you have to say to that? I know you have a very close family, and we're not going to call them. They are participating in what you're teaching and preaching, but how do you feel about something like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot like Jonah said. Everybody's looking ahead, and what they know worked for their parents. What we know isn't working for our parents. And I'm of the mindset, like, my parents, we do things a little bit differently in my household because of our beliefs. We're more European style. So we keep multi-generational stuff in the family. So my parents live with my wife, my son, and I. And the whole idea is, hey, keep as much of that wealth in the family as possible by us all living together, us being able to take care of each other, us being able to help with babysitting, all of these things. Because the more that we can help each other, the less we're going to have to rely on the government or, all of these other factors in it. But I have these conversations with my parents. One of the reasons why they got a policy and why they're going to be getting long-term care is because we have these conversations. It's, do you want us taking care of you in that position? Do you want all of that to fall onto us? And if not, we need to be proactive now that we know the information and start implementing processes that'll make sure that my sister and I don't have to fight over who's going to go and, take care of mom or dad because they need care on a regular basis. It's something that we've planned for, so we have the finances to take care of that type of stuff. But I think nobody's having conversations around it. Nobody wants to talk to their parents about that type of stuff, which I can get. Maybe if you're in your 20s or something like that, it might be a difficult conversation to have. But it is a conversation nonetheless that needs to be had because something's going to happen. And if you're not somewhat prepared for it, it could end up ruining your family financially.
That's for sure. All right. Shout out to Ron Sneller, Sneller Financial on IG. Yep. Ron, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this idea. Do you believe, if you've said something, Ron, I'd love to see it. If you're still out there with us, But he's a great dude. He also preaches financial awareness, education. Retirement is a word he uses a lot out there. So, Ron, throw something in the comments if you can on IG and help us understand how you feel about a generation of 50 plus, 60 plus, maybe they have children and grandchildren, are maybe abdicating the responsibility they still have to be involved.
I got to go back to something that was commented over on Instagram. So this is from Janet. Janet says, when you're talking about first jobs and making money, she says, yeah, she cleaned her grandma's house at age 8 for $5. Did that once a week till she was 16. And then when she was 14, grandma gave her $20 in cash and $20 in her savings account. And I just hope it was more than house. Just I hope it was a small house, because grandma was exploiting. That is
no, it's fine. Janet is older than you, Jonah. These were numbers that actually bought things back in 1993.
Break. When that's even what I'm talking about. Looking through the lens of the generation that you live in. If grandma offered that to me, if grandma offered that to my 7-year-old, he wouldn't do it. $5 to clean the house. He
can lose a tooth for $5 and do nothing.
He wouldn't do it. He'd be like, he would know better. That's not enough.
But your grandma is on a fixed income. Now that's another thing, right? That's the reason why some of us realize the responsibility to get educated and do something special is necessary, because our elders are living longer. Our grandparents are still alive. I'm 41. My grandma is nowhere near on her last leg.
Yep.
I mean, she's fine. And so she's in her 80s. And I mean, she doesn't make more money. She didn't go get a new degree.
Right.
Grandma, who, was a bank teller. Our grandma, I don't know if you remember, she was a bank teller in the 70s. She don't know how to up her game on apps.
Yeah.
At 83 years old, she just watches television all day and talks with us and works off fixed income, lives in the same home that she bought in 1975 for $12,000. I mean,
what a steal. Can you imagine $12,000?
I'd buy so many houses this week.
At $12,000
right here. Oh my goodness.
Janet says it was in the 80s, so we'll give her.
I'm saying she got $20 in cash for the last time in 1993. $40 total, 20 in savings, 20 in cash. That bought something
pretty good
in 1991.
Big shout out to Protect Your Legacy up there. He said that he is slinging pizza.
Yes, we talked about that. So that is Sergio. Follow that channel on IG. Protect Your Legacy. He's one of our coaches around here, and we had the conversation about some of our first jobs, and Nelson's first job, whatever it was that I wish I had. My goodness, this man was making so much money back in the day.
I remember.
Should have met Janet's grandma.
Yeah,
he would have been like, "Nope, I'm working for the state of Texas." All right, Janet lives in Texas as well. So Janet lives in Texas. Okay, Jesse, we're getting off guard. We're getting off the rails over here. Taking of Pelham 123. We're about to turn that corner and fly the train off. Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here, Jesse? What's on your mind?
I mean, we're at a point in the conversation where so many things have been brought up, right? Whether it's planning for retirement, whether it's legacy planning, whether it's intergenerational play like Sean's talking about. For me, the foundation is always this, going back to how much are you keeping of what you're earning? People are earning money, or however they're earning money. Maybe they've got a pension because they work, for the railroad, or maybe they're out doing something for themselves, self-employed. Like, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're experiencing cash flow. What are you doing with it? Start from there. So for somebody who's not started infinite banking, they've not started the process of actually keeping some of their money, that's the place to start. And then lining up one-on-one consultation calls with us where we could talk about, because we've got current clients. I see these names. We've got current clients that are, so wherever you're at, just start there. If you're brand new, you need to go watch our presentation video and then get that one-on-one call and start. If you're like some of these current clients, maybe we need to be facilitating that long-term care talk like Sean was talking about, or maybe we need to be talking about what does it look like to transition into passive income by using these policies that you have, or just wherever you happen to be. There's always another level. It's called infinite banking for a reason. So I would just say, go the next step forward wherever you're at.
Love it. Thank you, Jesse. So I keep almost bringing up this particular book, and let me give a shout out to a conversation that I had with a couple who lives in the upstate of South Carolina who also came by. I guess it's summer. People just want to come by a little more often and hang out. So this couple has been doing this process with us for about 4 years. And so we're going to have to call this couple Grandma and Grandpa now, because we're talking about a generation of people and peers that we know, friends of ours, we've met them. One of their children, they have 4, got a policy, his and hers policy. They are now mom and dad. And so Grandma and Grandpa have kids. I'm sorry, grandkids now to think about. And what they started to consider was, what does the retirement and or legacy play look like?
Yep.
Now that I've got a policy and kind of understand how to use it, they are paying off their HELOC right now.
Nice.
They put great grandma. I go to church with great grandma. They put great grandma in the mother-in-law suite.
Okay.
Got a HELOC so they could build it.
Yep.
Trying to pay off the HELOC, 7%.
Yep.
I told them, do not pay off your policy first. Pay off your HELOC. Variable rate, 7%, 200 grand out.
Yep.
We're going to focus on that. But we also need to consider the grandbabies now. And we're realizing that this is an entire infinite, like Jesse said, there's always another level. They've been doing this for 4 years, but they go, whoa, there's more to talk about. One of those topics in there was splitting heirs. Okay, so this is a Christian perspective book. Those of you who know Crown Financial Ministries, I think, is where these people came from. I don't know. Maybe I'm making that up. But Ron Blue, I think these are Christian people. So this is like Dave Ramsey before Dave Ramsey. I read this book a couple years ago, and I mentioned to these people, here's one of the things you consider as some of your family members adopt this idea. Some of them don't. How do you think about treating their kids with policies? How do you play the legacy game if they don't understand? How do you set up the beneficiary system? It's very interesting, because Sean has a sister and his parents are involved. Everyone kind of gets it. Well, great. Sean's going to be the leader of the club. Everybody's going to follow along. They're paying attention. But what happens if you have to split heirs?
Yep.
Very interesting conversation that we're having with them. Some people get it. Some people don't. Jesse's got a large family. Some family members and siblings on his generation get it, have started, are participating. Some do not. Some seem not interested. Some of them are maybe just a few months and years away. How do we have this conversation? I thought it was a very good reality for this couple, Grandma and Grandpa, because I know their kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, and they were like, this is very interesting. You do not leave car keys to a 10-year-old and you go off to work. It would hurt them. A car is a great tool. Fancy cars are even nicer tools. You don't give keys to a 10-year-old. It'll mess them up. So how do you give your money and things to your children without ruining their lives?
I love it. Jake says, if it wasn't for an in-person conversation, probably wouldn't have a policy. Too many scams to worry about.
Jake came over to to the office.
Was I here?
Yes, my office
at?
was dirty. It was on a Saturday.
Oh, okay. I wasn't here on a Saturday.
Right.
I was about to say, if Jake...
And I didn't have shoes.
Why would you?
I didn't have shoes. I had to go in your office. His wife, we are all stuck at the Jake, tell him, is it true? And my man, he got it. He was ready. But I'm like, oh no, I think I had kind of no, I didn't remember that it was in person was the thing.
Oh,
so I was just here on Saturday by myself,
hanging out
with my feet out. You know what I'm saying?
No
I was about
shoes.
to say, if Jake would have walked in, I'm sure he would have got a policy after this song plays, looked into my eyes, right? And I let him know how all the benefits. No, I'm just playing. I can't believe you were met with this man's feet out. That's crazy.
I would
Crazy
I would have had shoes on had I no, and that was the other issue is for some reason, like the front room was really dirty. Yeah, it goes like, why didn't I meet him there? So I literally, him and his wife were sitting on the desk over here in your corner, and I was at your desk, and I was like, oh, I did not realize this was in person.
Yeah.
And Jake's been a faithful friend and community member. Me and Jesse have helped them out more than one policy, I believe, for the last 6 months or so.
Yep.
So
I love it. All right. I think that's getting close to the end of our show. We've got some exciting updates for everybody who's paying attention and watching. One of the most exciting is that we just had an app hit the App Store, and it's going to be loaded up with lots of nice and fresh new content. So you're going to be getting some emails and notifications about that. I'm not going to pull it up right this second and show you, but maybe next week, right? We'll be ready to kind of get everybody in there and get some of that education flowing. So what we really do appreciate you being here and joining us for this hour. We are, in fact, going to host something in Greenville very shortly. We'll figure out what we're going to do. Maybe we'll have some fun, play some games. Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to get we're going to have to take a loan, cash value loan, but maybe it's time to play that Monopoly.
Oh, yeah.
Winner take
How many
all.
of you are in? Think about this, everybody. Monopoly with real money. Mr. Beast has done it. I don't think we're going to build a soundproof room. We'll just play it on the board game. But who would be in for a maybe a buy-in?
Don't let me get Boardwalk. Don't let me get bored. Don't
And
let me get
then
the railroad.
winner take all in a real cash Monopoly situation. So
it'd be fun. But anyway, Nelson, we'd love to have you, man. If you want to fly in, you don't have to or anything like that. But we're gonna put something together real soon. It'll be nice and fun, and we'll go from there. So that's what I got.
all right. Once again, let's do another round. Where can you find our two coaches online? Sean, tell us once again where your body of work is and how best to connect with you.
Yeah, you guys can find all my information on legacylifeandretirement.com, the YouTube, everything else is all on there. So head on over to the website and you'll find everything else from there.
All right, Jesse, how about you, man?
Yeah, the website that leads to everything is durhamtalents.com.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we suggest that you save your money, spend someone else's. We teach code cracking cash flow around here, and we have free cash consultations for each and every one of you who wants to break those bonds of financial slavery and move toward keeping your cash and financial freedom. Peace out.
You are now tuned to the banking bro. Said we couldn't make it because of control. Gave a lot of game, we never got a lot of things. Bow your head and say the prayer. We taught you how to be the bank.